Australia with Krystal Hille. Hi, Krystal. How are you today?
Hi, I'm really good, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to reach out and to connect and to allow people from around the world to hear a little bit about some of your projects. Could you share a little bit about yourself and why did you get into publishing?
Thank you. So I founded my own publishing house, Hille House Publishing, early 2021. Prior to that, I was a life coach, and prior to that, I was a theatre director. So I've had a really interesting journey, and I've always been guided by the flow, by my intuition, and taken courageous action to follow that. So that step from coaching into publishing at first seemed a really odd one to me. But looking at my whole life, I've always been interested in what makes people tick. Why do humans do what they do? What are the motivations? So in my teens, I thought I was going to study psychology. But then I instead ended up being a drama teacher and theatre director, where I explored these questions in literature and put them on stage. Then in my 30s, I discovered life coaching and NLP and Tamron therapy and all of those things. So I helped my clients to create stories from mediocre to magnificent. So the story theme kind of ran through. And then after COVID hit, I was presented with the opportunity to open a publishing house and get trained in that. And I was really passionate about helping conscious leaders to get their voices out there, to really create a counter movement or counter voice to the mass media fear-mongering, to provide hope and inspiration, to help awaken and empower humanity. So that's how I ended up doing publishing.
That's fantastic. And what advice would you give to new inspiring authors?
Yeah, to know that your story is worth sharing, that your wisdom is worth sharing, and to just start, to trust that inner voice that says one day I should write a book. One day never comes. So it's about, okay, that voice is there. Let me listen to it. Let me just journal around that. Let me write some things down, and let me not get in that voice, that critical voice. Let me not listen to that. It's about just tapping in and just sharing from that place. That's one advice. There's much more, of course.
Actually, we might tap into a couple more yet. Could you share about a project you're working on right now, and perhaps a main takeaway that the readers of your book or books might really get?
So the current book that I'm working on is called Inspired Living, a guide to ignite joy and prosperity. And the intention with that book was it's a sequence to intuitive living. And so the intention for Inspired Living is to, when we really listen to our intuition, when we're tapping into that inner voice that is guiding us, just the way I have done throughout my life, and it's taken me on all these adventures, then we follow the flow of life. And life opens up, and there's more joy, more prosperity that can come our way because of it. So it's my intention with this book is really to provide the reader with hope, with inspiration, that they too can follow their dreams. So I've gathered a lot of coaches and lots of different types of people who have really followed their passion in their life, and sharing those stories and tools.
And so, what are the ways that people can work with you or interact with you or reach out to you? Do you have a website, or do you have some of the stories that are there? What are one or two ways that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, which is just my name, Krystal Hille with an E at the end, Krystal with a K. I have a website as well, krystalhille.com, and then /publishing puts you directly onto that publishing page, and you can see what books are currently open for enrollment. This one that I've talked about is closing this weekend, but there is another one coming up which is called Inspired Relationships. And these are not just relationships, like personal relationships. They could be business relationship, mother-daughter relationship, like parent relationships, or anything to do with relationships is going into that book, and how we can make them more powerful and more inspiring.
Fantastic. So Inspired Living is going to be followed by Inspired Relationships. And have you got another one in the pipeline that will be after that?
Yes, I do. I think there will be something around inspired business, inspired networking. And I'm also working with networking organizations, so helping them to put books together for their members, which is something that I'm currently in conversation with one of the networking events, which is exciting.
Beautiful. And if we had a magic wand and we could get this book, Inspired Living, into the hands of someone, who would you like to get a copy? So who would you like to get a copy? Because one of the things that we talk about is manifesting, and we can set that out to the universe. We can put a link, a comment in there, and perhaps the person will receive it in the next 6 months. Who would that be?
For me, it would be Marianne Williamson. I feel like she is such an inspiration, for she's that quote that she's so famous for about, we're not afraid of our darkness, we are afraid of our light. It just resonates so deeply with me, and it's a message that I feel like she's all about the empowerment, and so I'd love her to get that book into her hands.
Fantastic. Well, Marianne, if you're watching or you're hearing this, we'll connect you with Krystal right away. And of the books that you've read, and this is one always nice to ask people, what book did you read in the last year that inspired you or left you with a message, and what was that message?
For me, the book that really resonated with me lately has been The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And even though I have been listening to the universal voice and followed my life, based on the guidance and taking courageous action, there's still been that little bit of fear and control and doubt that's always stayed there. And I really wanted to let that go. And so listening to the Surrender Experiment, because I listen to things, really helped me to let go of another layer of those doubts and those fears and come into another layer of a deeper level of surrender in my own life.
Fantastic. So if there was a wrap up today of the Meet the Author, and we're meeting a publisher and an author today, perhaps maybe even a distinction of the fine tune that you've noticed from being an author now to being a publisher and inspiring authors, what would be a message that you'd like to share with people?
Can you say that again differently? I'm so sorry.
Sure. Actually, it got a little mixed up.
Author, what am I?
Yeah. So again, I actually might get you to talk about a message to your audience that are potential authors, and your hat as somebody who's gone through the journey of being an author and now into a publisher, and perhaps an insight or a distinction you have from each hat that may assist people to better understand how that collaboration works, and how leverage of the 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It actually can equal 11. That there can be great opportunities to share experiences, and then also perhaps project that experience further afar.
Absolutely. So as an author, I've been in 2 best-selling books that became bestsellers in 2020. And what I really loved about them was the collaborative aspect. When you come into a book, the 1 + 1 really equals 11 plus, because, the connections that are being made in that group is phenomenal, because everybody connects to the theme of the book. So there's an instant connection that everyone has. And then I provide networking opportunity in my container. I provide networking opportunities so they can really get to know each other, and collaborations have come out of that with high-end ticket retreats and all sorts of exciting things. And collaboration in a multi-author book is really the main thing for me. That was really like, wow, I'm no longer in competition. So if anybody really wants to get out of that mindset of competition, or even just has a little smidgen of it still left in their brain or in their mind, collaborating in a book is incredible for that.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you've created a fantastic community and environment to really bring out the best in people. So thank you very much for sharing today. And we wish you the very best in the successes with all of your projects and the publishing company that you've launched, and it's flourishing in Australia and around the world. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.